Hello, my name is Greg Scott. This is Lemery Rollins. This is for the 2-hour intensive we just did today.
On Sunday.
On Sunday. Oh, sorry.
So it was kind of labeled West Coast Swing from A to Z, and we were trying to go through some of the more, what Greg and I feel are the more important parts of the dance that will help make the dance work more smoothly and more better as a whole. So we started out with just simple walks and triples and how to really accomplish them in a smooth manner. So we started by walking forward.
And thinking about our rib cage actually rolling through our feet from our heels to the arch to the ball to the toe to the heel to the arch to the ball to the toe.
And making sure that you're concentrating on rolling through your standing leg
to get to the other leg.
Versus trying to reach with your receiving leg, which is what we often try to do.
Word.
You should also, we did the same thing backwards. You should also be able to tell based off of how my rib cage and my hips are positioned as to what direction I'm traveling. So right now, it's rather clear that I'm moving forward. Right now, it's rather clear that I'm moving back. And I did that just by rolling from my heel, arch, ball, and vice versa, ball, arch, heel. We also talked about this in terms of connection, as to the fact that compression and leverage is just a reaction from a change of direction. So if Greg starts walking backwards, if he stops, my weight is going to, or my energy is going to still continue towards him until there's a natural stop. I'm going to stay in this connection until he leads me back.
Without bouncing out of it,
Without bouncing out of it. So he's going to lead me back. And then the same thing here. He stops, my energy continues. Okay. We also talked about opposition in the sense that up to go down, down to go up, right to go left, left to go right, forward to go back, back to go forward. So if we were to jump, the first thing you do is go down to push up, and then if you go up, you have to come back down into your legs.
That was a cute jump.
Thanks. So as far as this is
concerned, as a leader, I am going to be moving back, which she knows. So since she's going to be moving forward, she's moving backwards first so that she can move forwards. Same thing if we were dancing here. She's moving backwards and I move forwards. She would be moving towards me before she actually goes away.
Keep in mind that the feeling that you're getting on compression and leverage is not the actual lead. It is the warning before the lead comes. So as he shifts away from me, I shift away. It's the warning. Hey, get ready. We're going to move this way. Compression. Hey, get ready. We're going to move that way. So it's important that you kind of sit into that a little bit and not rush away from the connection.
So and vice versa with side motion. If I brought her through here, there's actually a motion that's going to go this way before the intent to go the other way. Left to go right, right to go left, blah, blah.
Then we started discussing
Triples.
So first we need to understand when the weight transfers happen, in the sense that if we had 3 objects, and I don't know how to do this right this second.
So if we had 3 objects, where it is. So if we had 1 and 2, 1 E2, 1 A2. So 1 E2, 1 E2, or I'm sorry, 1 E2, 1 E2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 A2. So we're normally going to take this weight transfer and move it into the middle so we have an even dispersed 1 and 2 for our weight transfers.
The last step of that is going to appear longer because there is no and on the other side, so I get this entire beat to complete before having to do another triple.
As a slow. And we're developing under ourselves, so we have under, under, open, under, under, open, under, under, open, under, under, open versus this.
Or the cha-cha type motion where we would go open, close.
Open, closed, open.
So we want to make sure that the first thing we're doing is collecting underneath our center.
Then you want to just talk about the performance part?
First we did crossing triples.
Partnering,
so we
yeah,
did
we
the
did
same
crossing.
concept, but we went collect, cross step.
Open.
Correct, cross open, making sure that when you're collecting and crossing, your center doesn't move. Try doing this in a half mirror where you can't see your feet. If you can see that you're stationary on these 2 steps, you're okay. And then we shift, stationary, and then we shift. If you see a lot of excess moving, then you know you're not quite taking care of your center enough. And we also talked about making sure that when you triple, you treat each foot equally and make sure that you articulate your feet so that I'm already doing a rolling motion. So if I have to move from here, it's quite easy to roll my center through that foot.
Either way.
Either way. Now we then went into a performance aspect, which kind of encompassed being aware of your partner
At all
to
times,
create
kind of.
a conversation through the dance versus us dancing separately but touching, and that often happens. So what I was seeing a lot before was if I'm leading, this was specifically from the leaders, but essentially I have no concept as to where my follower is going. I'm more worried about my surroundings, or the hot chick over there, than I am about
I don't see no hot
my
chick.
actual partner. And the followers do the same sometimes as well. So if I follow this time, they're more worried about what's going on around them and what's going to happen and what their leader is doing. And you tend to miss things that way. So we did an exercise
Without touching.
where Greg used his chest or his rib cage, similar to what we were talking about when we were walking forward and back, to make me want to move and fill out his space. And I'm going to try to help kind of mimic or follow all of the motions that he's doing, and he's going to try his best to get me to do what it is that he's doing. Good. And we did it where that we actually changed roles, so that time Greg was leading. We can also do it where the other person is doing the same thing. And this is a good exercise to kind of play with. And then we also asked you to do a simple side pass as well, doing the same
Yeah,
motion.
blah, blah. With the side pass without touching. Then we went over just staying close and waiting for the leaders to send you away to allow the conversation to kind of develop into something a little bit more.
And we talked about kind of sharing in the conversation. So if we did a simple sugar tuck, we could both choose to just do the sugar tuck as is. I could choose to embellish and add to the conversation.
And I do it normal.
He does it normal. Or I choose to embellish the conversation, and Greg chooses to join me in the process, which now created a completely different look, and it's something that we shared versus me styling, him leading, him styling, me just following.
And that happened, a good way of her describing it as kind of, it's a conversation, and you might start your conversation talking about butterflies, but it ends up talking about prehistoric animals somehow. And when you're talking, it takes paths, and you choose to let the paths happen, or you're like, no, I only want to talk about butterflies.
That ends up becoming a relatively boring dance when you insist on only talking about one thing. And I'm not talking one pattern, I'm talking only one way of doing things without allowing things to kind of unfold. You'll find that it's a lot easier to dance, a lot smoother. Things will just kind of flow from thing to thing. And it's easier to recover if something goes unexpected, let's say.
Word?
And
We're trying to briefly summarize what we went over.
we did a bunch of dancing to music, making sure that if there is a build in the song, try to avoid coming out of it before the build has finished. And that all that generally means is just stay close. So if the music is building right now, we're still building, it's still building, it's still building, it's still building. Now we still build, we're still building. And then finally, there's my end. So you want to try to fill it out. And you can do that by staying close and utilizing the space together. I think that was about it. Without
gist.
music, it makes it a little bit tricky to describe some of these things that we were doing.
So, I guess I'm Greg Scott. Well, I know I'm Greg Scott. This is Lemery Rollins. We'll see you next time.